show, but not in the books. So
I read the first book and then I stopped reading the books. Partly because I absolutely love the television show so much, and I've got it all planned out. I'm going to wait until the television show is over completely, and then I'm going to start reading the books. For me, they are two sort of slightly separate entities, and they have such strengths in their own right. I don't see a dispute between the TV series and the books. The books are so complex and so huge. I mean, it would take 20, 25 episodes to do each book if you were doing the book exactly. So for me, I'm just going to wait until the show's over and then I'm going to start the books.
I read the first 4, or first 3, depending on what the definition of the book is. The only reason I stopped is my son picked up a book one day and tipped upside down and the bookmark fell out. I had to breathe a sigh of relief. I really haven't got time to start again in a minute. I'll be honest, I haven't seen anything of the TV show beyond, I think I'm up to series 2, episode 2.
No spoilers.
It coincides with the birth of my son, who's now 4 years old, so it's not on CB.
Not yet.
It's not like to be on CB.
Do you have another question from the crowd down? We'll get all the second one.
The TV series has been blamed for incessant and constant and gratuitous nudity scenes. Do you get paid extra for taking part in them?
No, you have to pay them. I have an agreement actually with my wife that I'm not allowed to do those. I can kill anybody I want, but I'm not allowed to do those.
You don't get paid extra. You just have to suffer them, do it?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's not as bad as being the head of the Night Watch in that whole series with all that sex and nudity and everything else. And I'm one of the one guys that's celibate.
Guys, we take another question? Another one heading for it, right?
Just from each of you, what was your favourite scene to play?
So far?
So far?
Okay.
This is hard. I guess it was the one in season 4 where I got to have a bit of a hissy fit. That was quite fun. Yeah, it was just a really enjoyable scene to play and to see people's reactions to how annoying what man can be.
I'd have to say, when I come tell Tyrion in prison that I'm not going to fight for him, he's just staying true to character. He would have ended up like the Mountain. It was a good choice, but working with Peter generally has just been such a joy. But that particular scene, I had a whole day with him, and it was beautifully written, and that's the one I would choose.
I think I remember, I don't know if you do, in season 2 I had a scene with Kit, Jon Snow, where he gives him the sword, and there's a really nice subtext of a father who was estranged from his son that had found this young man who had all the attributes that he thought, and he was sort of passing the baton or the sword, if you like, onto him. And as an actress, it's nice to play the subtext, So I really enjoyed playing that, and obviously my death scene with Gandalf was good fun.
For me, it was Tyrion's trial, which was also my most embarrassing day ever on set. 500 extras, all of the incredible cast. And on the first day, I could not get one word of that speech out. There were 6 extras who went to school with me, and they were going, "I told you he was wet." I told Alex Sakharov, the director, I said, "Listen, see by Friday, I'm going to know this speech backwards. And when I'm 80, I'm going to know this speech." And I still do. But that was my best day, and worst.
my best day was Harry Hall, where I get a talking to by Charles Dance, and ever since I've referred to this scene as the headmaster's scene, because it was like a little naughty schoolboy standing in the headmaster's office getting a dressing down from Charles Dance. Not only is Charles Dance an amazing actor and has this just amazing presence wherever he goes, but the scene just worked magnificently and really sold the strength of not only Tommy Lannister, but also the flawed nature of the mountain. Although he's got this reputation for being a giant and a warrior and a bully and a beast and a murderer and a rapist, but he's just as temporary as any of the other characters in the story. But yeah, it was a great scene.
Fantastic. Right, let's go for another question from the audience. We've got some mics, I think. No?
This is a question for the younger members of the cast. How much of it are you allowed to watch? For the older members of the cast, how much of it are you comfortable showing to your family?
Well, personally, I don't even watch it because, I mean, Robin Arryn, apart from him being a widow, he's also quite, what's the word, innocent? In the way that he's not like, he doesn't really know much about what's going on. And I think to try and, maybe that's just me, but to try and make it true to the character, I try and like know as least much as I can about it, if that's a good way to put it. But yeah, I try not to know that much about it so it doesn't affect me when I'm playing it.
So about the rest of the meeting, would you let your kids or your family watch it, I think?
My 19-year-old loves it. My 11-year-old is so bored of it, and he was just, Game of Thrones, because all his teachers love it. And he's like, oh yeah. And it was only this summer that my 11-year-old finally thought I was cool whenever I was sent a baseball card with my photograph on it. He just thought that was wonderful.
I got sent 1,000 of your baseball cards.
But I mean, obviously, I let them watch it one day, but I think the watershed would be about 16, 17 for Game of Thrones. I think that's when I would start letting my 11-year-old watch it. I love it. I mean, my wife and I can't wait a week for the next episode to come on. So what we do is we record the first 9 episodes and we watch them over 9 days, ending on the Sunday night so that we can watch episode 10 on the Monday. Because I can't wait a week. I love it. I'm completely addicted to it.
My children are so disinterested in anything that I do. I'm afraid we've missed out on Game of Thrones and most of my career, which I find quite refreshing actually.
And my mother doesn't let me watch it either.
Excellent. Right, so we have a question from the... Go on, Richard. Get there with the mic. He's like, oh yeah, I've got a mic. What's this thing?
As an avid reader, I had to take a break from reading Game of Thrones. It was really hard work. But is there a book series that you've started reading that you just couldn't stop reading? What's your favourite book series?
Lord of the Rings. Classicist as far as fantasy goes. I picked up Lord of the Rings when I was about 7 years old and didn't understand it the first time, so I read it again. And I still read it to this day, every couple of years.
For me, it was the Patrick O'Brian novels, the Jack Aubrey novels, Master and Commander onwards. I loved that series. And the Harry Potter series. I absolutely loved the Harry Potter. I thought they were the most fantastic, unbelievably good and unbelievably well-crafted books. And I would still, like yourself, I would go back to the beginning and read them again. They're like old friends. It's like putting on a comfy pair of slippers.
I don't know if it's you could call it a series of books, but there's an author called Cormac McCarthy who wrote The Road and No Country for Old Men, but his masterwork is called Blood Meridian. And I read that at least once every couple of years because it's such a masterpiece, a modern-day masterpiece, and it's wonderful to read someone who writes with such bravado. I encourage you all to read it. It's one of the best books ever written in the 20th century.
There's a Scots author called Amanda Scott, who she's written many books, but she's written a series of books about the Boudica series, tribal Britain, just as the Romans become set around the Queen Boudica's tribe, the Iceni. And I can't put them down, there's 4 of them, and if you like Thrones, this is the real deal, and it goes into our spiritual and cultural heritage before we got invaded, and it's heartbreaking and beautifully written. I recommend that. Boudica.
Well, for me, I'd say, does anybody here know Isaac Asimov? I was quite,
You said that at Comic-Con.
I quite like a lot of his series, like the Foundation series and everything, and some of his shorter stories as well, I find quite interesting. Yeah, I guess I'm quite into that, because I find...
Cool, great. Okay, so we have some questions from a bit further back.
Hi, if you had to adopt a character into your family from Game of Thrones, who would you
That's great. We were just saying backstage we normally get who would you kill, how would you die, but who would you adopt?
Careful what you say, eh? I wouldn't adopt Peter Dinklage up there. I think Arya, I'm just completely in love with Arya. She's a real fireball, so I might go for her to protect me in my dotage.
I think I'd probably have Kit Harington. He needs looking after.
I don't know who I would adopt. I would adopt all of them. Actually, just have them there in the room. If I had to choose absolutely one single character to adopt, that is a really good question. Really good question. I would go for Dame Diana Rigg. That's who I would adopt.
I would love to have Balon Greyjoy as grandfather. All the best put-downs.
Thinking about adoption? I'm available. You could adopt someone as your mother figure or grandfather.
I guess I'll adopt Lysa Arryn, because she's my mum.
The wolf would be pretty cool.
Yeah, or dragon.
Okay, next question.
Hi. In each of your opinions, who do you think will end up on the throne at the end of the series?
Who do you think will end up on the throne at the end? Ultimately,
I have no idea. Just when I think, yeah, him, or yeah, oh, they're dead. Oh. Okay, now then. So I've actually stopped now because every time I think they'll do it and they die, and that's just, I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. I really don't. And I love the fact that I have no idea whatsoever. No idea.
I don't know if she'll ever sit on the throne, but I think the hero of the piece is Arya. And I think it's beautiful that the strongest character in the entire series is a teenage girl.
I think Jon Snow.
Have a great afternoon. Yeah, I think either Arya or John is going to end up there.
Am I meant?
I think one of the strengths of the series is like everyone, all the main characters are written as if they are the lead. So you have no idea, do you? They've all got kind of a lead arc going through Game of Thrones. So it could be anyone, right until the end. So. Right, next question.
Will Bronn be coming back next series?
Will he be coming back? He ain't gone nowhere. Yeah, he thinks he's going somewhere, but he kind of gets pulled back into the fray. I shouldn't have said that.
Sorry, the last Q&A we revealed that like 2 Star Wars films that people didn't know Disney were making accidentally, so it's the same thing. Alright, another question from the one. That's it, run, Harry.
Have you ever stolen any props from the show?
Have you ever what?
I think it was stolen, not swallowed.
I don't know if it's because you're in Wrexham, but we're getting a lot of questions about people stealing. It's
not only possible to collect souvenirs from the set, and I'm really terrible at collecting souvenirs from productions anyway. My first film AVP, I went up to the prop maker. He had these great daggers, and I knew he had about 10 or 11 of these things. And I said, look, would you mind if I took one of these things as a souvenir? He says, you know what? We'd love to give you one, but they've all been nicked.
I have a pair of socks. That's it. One pair, black, with a hole in the right toe.
I've only got 2 things from 50 years in the business. One is from Braveheart, the Seal of Scotland, the Great Seal of Scotland that William Wallace gives to his 4 lieutenants. I've still got that, and I've still got a helmet from Troy to remind me never to ride a horse with a helmet that doesn't fit. You just ride it and fall down over my eyes. And all I could see was the tom of the saddle. So, yeah, that's the only 2 things I've ever stolen.
I've got 3,000 socks. But that's it. That's about it, yeah.
Sorry.
I would imagine it's actually really difficult. I think that some people think you kind of like go home in your armour or something like that. So there's people there taking stuff off you and making a note of.
Especially with something like Thrones, it's like they're on you can't, the props guys. Things have changed, yeah. I think in the business you used to be able to maybe go home with more, but now it's like no way.
Was it sort of around the advent of eBay?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, another question from the audience.
If you could be any other member of the cast, who would you like to be? What character would you like to play?
Peter Dick.
Go on. I always find that difficult. Who would I like to be? Who is closest to Daenerys most of the time? That was just from a certain part of me. Not proud of it, but it's just what came.
I'd like to play whoever's ending up on the throne at the end of season 7. I'd like to be there at the end.
I think I'd like to be Hodor. I mean, he's got some great lines.
Okay, right, we'll go for the next question then. Let's make a dash right from that.
Given the fact that the roles you play are all very emotionally and physically demanding, how do you go about preparing for that? Is it something you do all year round, or do you get to like a few weeks before shooting and then settle down into it?
No, I basically try and stay ready as much as possible, physically at least. You never really know what sort of, how emotionally draining the part's going to be until you're actually reading the script. But try and stay as ready as possible. You never know when the phone's going to ring.
I think I've acted in a different way on this show. I mean, for me, it starts about a month before shooting. I start getting sort of into the idea of where it's going to go in any sort of particular storyline. But I keep coming back, and it's just such an incredible pleasure to be on the Game of Thrones set. I just think it's just the best gig ever. So, whatever preparation you do only serves you up to a point, and then after that it's just going with it. But when you're working with some of the best actors in the world and some of the best directors in the world, I mean, everybody that works on this show, everybody in each department, they're all absolutely fantastic, completely professional, and that certainly makes it a lot easier to work on set.
How do you prepare? Well, yeah. I think there's a great deal of the subconscious has a great deal to do with it. You read a part and you think that it's gone, but really the subconscious is working out things. And I sometimes play parts where the day before we started, I really didn't consciously know who that character was going to be, but when it came to it, he arrived, and that's just the subconscious working on things. So it's a bit of hit and miss for me, I just hope when the moment comes when they say turn on, the character's going to be there, But yeah, there's no sort of specific route that I would go through to find my way.
Yes. Normally about a month before I start, I'll go to spend about a month around Soho, drinking along. But apart from that, I'm kind of with James on that. It's like something would happen very often in the read-through where you just kind of, something clicks. Or when you audition and you just feel, oh my God, it's kind of already happened. So I'm not like huge into preparation, except that physically, as you get on, you have to stay in shape, especially if you're fighting a lot. The characters who I'm playing at the moment tend to, so I have to try and keep fit most of the year.
For me, I mean, I guess that's what everyone's been saying about that kind of. It kind of clicks in your subconscious and everything, and I usually get quite late notice sometimes, so I've always got to be ready for something really weird to happen on the script. But usually, I mean, it's just kind of that thing of you reading it, seeing what the character feels, thinking about how he's processing it and everything. And yeah, I guess there's that after a while of thinking about it, you kind of end up getting into the character a lot. I mean, sometimes a few weeks, a few days before I'm getting into, playing Robin Arryn, I can be a really prick sometimes. So I guess that's kind of my way of doing it.
Great, well, we've got literally time for one more question, so let's make it a good one. Yes, Martin, let's take your question. Okay, so you can choose which house you're in, which one would it be?
As my character, I don't think I would choose any house, because he doesn't care who's on it. He didn't care, I should say, who was on the Iron Throne. I think that was one thing that stood out at Warmont, it was such a straight down the line guy. But it was all the politics was up to someone else. It wasn't. He was sort of single-minded. So I'll pass on that one.
Both my character and me, I'm with the Lannisters. Oh.
I think Bron's, he's set upon creating his own house of Bron. And he might get there.
I'd say Targaryen because they have the best weather.
I'd say the Vale's pretty cool. But I'm not really sure because, as I said, I don't really like even knowing too much about it, so I don't know. I'm pretty happy being an Arryn.
Okay, brilliant. Well, unfortunately that is literally all we've got time for, so can you join me in thanking the cast again?